this time of year for me is really about beginning again. And I have a few beginning agains. I definitely, solstice is probably one of the most powerful for me. And then in my Jewish community, we have also practice around Rosh Hashanah, and then as a daily practice, I often find that if I'm really paying attention, I need to pull myself back from whatever I'm doing outwardly, come back in. And so it's a time for me of visioning. Um, and even though it's an artificial time, we know somebody made up this calendar and, not necessarily grounded in anything except probably, to some degree, capitalism or some form, but it's an opportunity, sort of like for me, like I celebrate Valentine's Day because it's like, yeah, I get to send out some love. I don't care about the rest of it, and I'm not turned off by the rest of it. I'm just like, oh, yay, I get to love. So this is also interesting, right? It's also Martin Luther King's birthday's next year. So this idea of visioning is, I think it helps enrichen the experience for me. This idea that we like no other animals, perhaps. I think there are definitely some to certain degrees, but like no other animal, we often we can dream. We can dream and we can create. Um, and we're in this practice because somehow, in some way, the Buddha actually was present in their practice and also had a vision, had an idea that we can awaken, that we can relieve ourselves from suffering. And anybody who's been in the practice knows that there are thousands of ways, and many of them, drowning down to just this moment now. How are you? How are you feeling? What do you need? Are you present? Um, Being present in order to make sort of wise choices and wise vision. Let's see, I've got here. I want to read something from the Dalai Lama as well. And His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama put out a message January, this is 2018. Um, and he says, it's important that as we begin the new year, look forward, says His Holiness the Dalai Lama in a New Year's address. I'm just going to read this whole thing. We should project our intention ahead so that we make this year a meaningful one. When you look back, how would you think about the year that you have just spent? I just want to pause there and invite you to think about this last year. One question I really appreciated somebody asked is, what surprised you from 2022? What in your experience surprised you? And then, was there a way that you showed up, that you wanted to, that you lived into your intention? And then, of course, can you meet either of those responses with equanimity, with also kindness? It is what it is, but, thinking about the last year. And then he goes on to say, would you have a sense of contentment, saying that I have lived that year well? I have served the purpose of that year? Or would you be looking back with a sense of regret for all the troubles you have caused? And he goes on to say, make this year a meaningful one that you can turn back and look at with a sense of happiness and joy. If an individual were to make conscious intention to live his or her life, and I will add there, with a sense of purpose, live in it in a good way, then the ripple effect of that really spreads. First from the individual to the family, then to the community, and so on. This is how society gets changed and affected, says His Holiness. When we talk about the transformation of society, the transformation really has to start from the individual, from inside, from the inside outwards, he said. That's closing. And then just considering what is it that you want for yourself? Just taking that in. And in the beginning of our practice, I offered that, or maybe I didn't in these exact terms, but that every inhale is validation that you're worthy. You're worthy to be alive, which means that you're worthy of a dream, of many dreams. You're worthy of having visions. So, what is it that you might want for yourself? And before, depending on where you are, somebody's, you know, let's not confuse these visioning, dreamings, or even intention. Let's not confuse that with craving. Desires are part of our experience. We're humans. We're going to have desires. They're not all wise, but we're going to have desires. And so it's not about having the desire or having the vision or having the dream. It's about clinging to them and clinging to how they show up. So just to clarify that. So what do you envision for yourself? And I'll share that for me. I realized that I'm in a little bit of a rut with my practice, so that it's not only that I'd like to go deeper, but I kind of want to go broader. And so, what I'm looking at this year is what I'm looking at this month. What are the ways that I can go broader so that I can deepen the practice and deepen my experience. Um, so I'm envisioning myself in a deeper practice next year. Um, and then on my other human side, I'm also envisioning myself in a hybrid SUV, right? Because it's not only about being serious, it's also about being in this experience. I'm also envisioning myself having fun. I'm also envisioning myself eating better. Just thinking, I'm talking, just go and just think about what is it that you really want for yourself. I was listening earlier to stories about how this quote says it all. This Nelson Mandela quote says, "It's impossible. It always seems impossible until it's done." So right now, I'm like not exercising very much, but I actually have a fantasy of being able to do like a 2 mile run by the end of the year, right? Right now, my body's like, wait, hold on, we got a bunion here and a little extra weight there. So just thinking about feeling in. I was listening to another, now I can't remember his name. Uh, let's see if I can find it. Here it is, actually. So Mike Singer, I'm just starting to listen to some of him. He's also a practitioner and teacher. And he was talking about this idea of surrendering. And for me, that's another one of if I surrender to my visions, um, they're more likely to happen than if I sort of think about them. But they're just waiting for me. It's almost like the exercise is waiting, the food's waiting, the SUV might be waiting in some realm, but so we begin with ourselves. The other place that and let me say, and I just want to say this again because some of what comes up for us, and I apologize because I realized earlier I made an assumption this is an LGBTQ group because it's in Palm Springs, and I have no idea. But I'm glad everybody's here. My apologies to anybody who's may have felt left out. there's this idea, no matter what your gender or sexual preference, or we have a human experience of not feeling like enough. And when you, I can, in coaching, I've asked people, what do you want? And they come up blank. Um, and because there's this idea that if I want anything, like, I'm not worthy on some level, or I can't get it. We can be our biggest blocks to things. There's a whole universe that will let you know if you're worthy. You'll let me know if, my body will let me know if, running a mile is too much or running 2 miles. My body will let me know. But I can still have a vision and then step into it, take action towards it. And you might begin by thinking of a time when something that you wanted appeared. It's interesting how sometimes it feels like we have this experience, for example, where we're like, we're over here and we're like, oh, I would really like this thing. I want a job position, this partner. And we're not even maybe clinging to it. Maybe it's like we're in this wise place of, may it be so, and we're going about our business and are doing our thing. And then we get there and like it's great. And it's almost like we get over this wall and we forget that we actually just asked and it happened. And then it's almost like we get on this wall where we can't see our past. And so now we're like, oh, I really want a new job. I want this new thing. And fear just takes over. Just noticing as you're considering what you might want for yourself, what's coming up. I'm thinking about um, I working with people who really had a hard time wanting to be successful. And because what ended up happening was that they didn't trust themselves. So the other things that's been coming up for me or been arising is this idea that if we have a desire and we move towards it, and that might be deepening your practice, or it might be, buying a new house, whatever your desire is. When there's this, we're going to change on the other side, and so much of us is afraid of changing. If I deal with this trauma, who will I be? If I stop drinking, who am I going to be? If I move my body more, what's going to raise up and who will I be? Just naming and acknowledging that. Hmm. And then I think I'm going to shift in a minute, but the other thing I want to bring up is this, again, in a different way, this idea of not being deserving. And if you look deeper at that, there's this way that we're blaming ourselves for things that, um, how do I best put this? I have this, you may have heard this, everybody's doing their best. And I remember somebody pushed against that once, saying, how do you know everybody's doing their best? They might not be doing their best. I believe that we're all doing our best based on the level of healing that we're willing to practice, the ways that we're willing to help heal our hearts and our minds. Not healing the past, but healing what the past has encouraged in us now, sort of looking at it, pulling it up, whatever ways that we heal. And that means that if you're early in your healing, you're probably still messing up, and you're probably, whatever that might mean for you, and you're probably causing harm to yourself and others. And we know the people who are healed, they meet us in a different way. They meet us in a kinder way, a more compassionate way, maybe a calmer way. You caused harm somewhere in your life. This is part of our experience. The conditions are set up that way. And if you can't think of a moment right now, just know that if you ate today, in this system is created so that the people who provide our foods are harmed. So it's just like We're all creating harm. And then there are circumstances where we can do something about it, right? Some of us try to go to farmers markets over, buying Tyson's, whatever that is for you. Let's see if I can remember the story. I know I have it on my computer. There's a story of a man who harmed the Buddha in some way. And I'm going to say some way because I can't remember exactly what it was. He harms the Buddha in some way. And then a little while later, he comes back to the Buddha and apologizes. And the Buddha says, "Why are you apologizing?" He says, "You are no longer who you were, and am no longer who I am. So, whoever you are now, wherever you're at, you deserve to dream." That's a long story of that. You deserve a vision. Don't let any of that um, other messages get in your way. Tara Brach has a beautiful teaching about how it's not our fault, and that's in that just like you know the practice that I created out of it is sort of like it's not your fault that you lied. It's not your fault that you stole. It's not your fault that you hurt somebody. You did it from a place of pain. Sort of a summary of what she's offering. You did it from a place of pain. Can you forgive yourself? And if you can't forgive yourself, can you be kind? Can you be kind and then and willing to heal? So again, coming back to you deserve a vision for yourself. Some of you are already like, I know, I got it, I'm down. Okay, great. So what about moving into it? What is the movement into it and who's supporting you with it? And now I'll shift to another vision. And what is your vision for us? What is your vision for the world? What is your vision for the planet? You might envision that next year the whole world is at peace. It's okay. Somebody's got to envision it. I don't know when, because I don't know the history of it, but somebody said, I don't have mine here, but somebody said they were going to like cut glass in a particular way so that I could be able to see. And the people around them were like, oh my God, this person's not well. Somebody said, we all know the story, that we humans were going to be able to fly, right? The Wright brothers got a lot of help for that, right? Somebody said that we're going to be able to see from high places and big buildings. Somebody said we're going to end apartheid in South Africa. Somebody said that people of multiple ethnicities are going to gather together peacefully. You get to have a vision for the world, and I believe we all have a responsibility. Because if we're not having a vision, we're going to live someone else's. As many of you may over the last few years woken up to, especially anybody doing any white ally work, you wake up and you realize, I had no idea this was happening. I had no idea this is going on. And some of it's true for, at some levels it's true for people of color as well. Wow, I had no idea the whole system was set up against me. I couldn't see it, right? Somebody, right? So we have King and we have Maya Angelou and we have like all the and goodness, Howard Zinn and so many people wanting us to wake up so that we can envision and create something else. Can't have a world of peace if we're not envisioning a world that's peaceful. And we can't have a world of peace if we're entertained by violence. So I had to miss the last Wakanda movie. I heard it was great, but and it's hard. It's painful because peer pressure is hell. And of course, I want to support these artists, but I can't want peace, and it's a really strong want and desire for me, and be entertained by it, which means I'm not watching most TV. Um, yeah, it's painful. Maya Angelou says courage is like the most important um, value or most important practice that we can have. Without courage, we can't live our values. We can't be truthful. We can't be authentic. Without courage, we can't be ourselves. So it takes a little courage to have these visions. What's your vision for your community? All right. Let's see if I have anything else to offer. Then I'd love to hear from you. I often do breakouts, but I forgot to set that up earlier. So I'd love to hear some of your ideas. And then, yeah, let's see where we go from there. And then I'm going to offer meta in some form. So in the old days, whatever that means, I remember hearing that if you told somebody your dream, it was like bad luck. If you told somebody your vision, it was bad luck. And what I've learned is that if I'm in the right place and I actually say my vision and my dreams out loud, that it makes it more possible to happen. So I'm curious, and I've said some of mine in front of you. That means, right? Because I put myself at the risk of like next January, somebody going, "Hey, did you run 2 miles last year?" Right? But I'm gonna trust that you'll be kind with that. So, would you like to share some dreams and visions into this space? I think it would be a beautiful experience to say it out loud. So, mm, we need each other. We need each other for the practice, the sangha being the third and perhaps most important tool of our time. We need each other to envision a safer and peaceful world. I can't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. We need each other to heal so that we can heal together and create a different kind of experience for this planet, for our communities, for our families, for our hearts. So may we consider what our visions are. Take a clear look at what you're committed to because that's your practice. If you're committed to social media trauma, that's your practice. If you're committed to waking up, then whatever that practice is for you in the waking up, the vision of healing. But know that you have that power to at least envision and dream of something different. And that it's the folks that came before us that created this experience for us now. Yeah. So, yeah, yes, we can. Any last, we have, it's only going to take me a minute. Oh, I was going to offer, yeah, let's go out on some meta. Let's go out on some meta, just getting grounded.
Damage. Yeah.
Hmm. May I be kind to myself. May I be kind to myself and begin again and again and again. May I hold myself with compassion. May I be gentle with me. May you be kind to yourself, just offering it to the faces you saw in the space. May you hold yourself with compassion. May you allow yourself to fail and begin again and again and again. May I be protected from inner and outer harm. May we be protected from inner and outer harm. May I consider what it means to be love, accept love. May you also experience what it means to be love and accept love. May I be peace and live with ease. May you be peace and live with ease. May all beings everywhere ground in love and compassion, be protected from all harms. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. Thank you.